Let's talk about DLC practices in Street Fighter 6. Now, this is a topic that I've been avoiding for a long time, but it pops up every once in a while, and people have issues with it. The DLC practices since day one have actually been suboptimal, but the players generally didn't care much about it because the game, unlike Street Fighter V, launched in a really good state. Like the netcode was good, the content, like the amount of content was good, the gameplay was interesting. I mean, people can argue whether it's good or bad. It was interesting and it felt fleshed out, you know? That's all that most people cared about. And we had a solid $60 game, you know? So nobody cared about DLC at that point. But little by little, people were starting to ask questions, and the latest collaboration in terms of DLC for Street Fighter is actually Spy Family. Now, this is a collaboration that people have been looking forward to for a while. It's been announced a while ago, and now we got some new information. And maybe we should start with this Twitter post that is gaining a little bit of traction, but it's just an example of how people feel about the DLC. Okay? So it's just Avatar. It is not a costume for Chun-Li. This is what people had hoped for originally, and this is not actually going to happen. And people are arguing, well, why is Capcom doing this? They could, well, fund 10 more seasons of this game if they just added a Chun-Li costume with Yor. But this is not happening, and I actually kind of agree with this take anyways. And like, if you scroll down, you'll have more people arguing, well, they could have had both ways, like Avatar and costumes, but players are not thinking far enough ahead, in my opinion, because this is not about just offering costumes. It's really trying to get people into the Avatar stuff, because the more people Capcom can suck into the Avatar stuff, the more money Capcom is going to generate. And at the end of the day, like, Capcom is not like a charity, okay? They're a company, they need to make money, and obviously they're going to try their best to get you to spend as much money as possible on their game. With that being said, Capcom is trying to lure you into the Avatar stuff, and to my surprise, like let's take a look at this. I mean, you guys know about this, right? You guys know about this, right? Like, let's take a look at the previous collaborations, and if we take a look at that, you'll realize the Turtles collaboration, while super cool, was outrageously priced. Just in case you don't know what how much of this is, one costume is 750 fighting coins. 100 fighting coins is approximately $2. Okay, so one costume, and this is just for Avatar. Like, you cannot use that inside of the regular versus or ranked games. One costume is $15. If you want to have all 4 costumes, that's going to cost you as much as the entire game. And people lost their shit when they saw this pricing. And I was like, okay, this is kind of outrageous, but I mean, this isn't a regular costume, right? It's supposed to be shown off in the Battle Hub. You can do some stuff with it. Still, outrageous pricing. Even like the regular, the competitive players are mostly not really interested in that. If you're the type of person that is mostly trying to find strong players in the Battle Hub to play against, I mean, not the Battle Hub, the Battle Lounges. If you're the type of player who plays ranked most of the time or offline, you're not gonna buy this. You're just not gonna buy this, right? So I was like, okay, if this is the pricing, what's the pricing for Spy Family, right? Let's take a look at it. So when you go there, you'll notice that it's actually not outrageously priced. In fact, it is so cheap that basically anyone can get it. And this confused me for a second when I looked at this, but then, I slowly realized what is actually going on. If you think about, when did the Ninja Turtles stuff happen? That was in early August, okay? Early August. So the game was pretty fresh at that point. A lot of casual players were there, a lot of people being in the Battle Hub, playing World Tour. This is where you'll get people interested in even purchasing this kind of stuff. So why is this basically for free right there? Even though Capcom could have sold this for the same amount as the Ninja Turtle stuff. and some people would have bought it. But this is not the plan. The plan, and here's my opinion on why Capcom is giving this for free. We're in a phase of Street Fighter where there's not so many new casual players going around. So they're trying to get like the current player base to get this costume, to take a look at more of the avatar stuff, and then buy other stuff. Effectively, this right here is supposed to sell you something else entirely. So let's take a look at this. Let's take a look at the other stuff that you can get if you're into the avatar stuff, right? So take a look at this, okay? So the Spy Family stuff is actually supposed to sell you this. Like, the pricing on this is so outrageous, I almost can't believe my eyes, by the way. When they announced this and I saw the price tag, like, I just could not believe it. I thought they were crazy. 1,200 fighting coins. That's $24 for one costume. And please keep in mind, they're offering 3 of these costumes. They are just different colors. Okay, so if you want to have all of them, you have to buy them 3 times. One is $24, okay? It's absolutely insane to me. But, like, I'm not here to judge the pricing. People are not really, like, pissed off by the prices themselves. At least, I don't think most of the people are pissed because of that. It's kind of shitty. Capcom is effectively... And by the way, like, Capcom is not dumb, okay? You have to understand there's somebody who has the statistics on this. How do we maximize profit? And they came up with these numbers. If you're a peasant, you can afford to get this costume right here, okay? But if you're a real Street Fighter player, you're gonna cash out right there. Okay, that's the idea. And as I said, like, Capcom is not dumb. They know what they're doing here with this pricing strategy. If you get sucked into the avatar stuff, you're incentivized to get more and more stuff. And even though it's a very small percentage of people who are gonna get this, they're gonna make Capcom all the money that they need to, because otherwise they wouldn't be pricing this like that. Also, this is just content that is gonna be available for a short period of time, just like the Ninja Turtle stuff. So they're on top of that creating fear of missing out, FOMO. So you have to get it. You have to get it now or never, effectively. So this is what they're trying to do. And I wouldn't be so outraged about it if it didn't affect the rest of the game. Capcom successfully created a mini game inside of Street Fighter. And I think, honestly, that's genius. When I saw the Battle Hub, when I saw the World Tour, I was very happy about that. I thought, hey, Capcom is finally giving casual players something to do inside the game. If you're not into the versus mode or the online, like, what do you do in Street Fighter? In Street Fighter 4 and 5, you didn't have anything to do, to be honest. Like, let's be fair about that. Besides arcade mode, what would you do? There was very little content, especially on release day. And Street Fighter 6 really changed this up. But in return, what did we get? Well, unfortunately, we got a game that, for the competitive players in particular, there's very little content added. We're like, just think about this for a second. We're 7 months into the game. Like, how many characters did we get? 2 characters, okay? So on average, we waited 3.5 months to get 1 character. And how many costumes did we get? We got exactly 1 costume. Okay, 1 additional costume for every character. So maybe let's get into that as well. Originally, and this is what I find really outrageous. Originally, the game launched with Outfit 2 available for everyone for purchase. Okay, so what is the price tag on this? 50 fighting coins. That's about $1. Okay, that's a reasonable price to ask. You get all the colors on top of that. So this is not a bad price at all. In fact, it's actually in line with previous Street Fighter games. Street Fighter 4, for example, had a similar pricing. But we'll take a look at Street Fighter 4 in a bit as well, just to get a better comparison here. So this is what the game launched with. So basically, people could be like, oh, okay, the DLC, the costumes, they're somewhat fairly priced. Maybe a bit on the higher end, but they're not outrageous. The one thing that is not that great about it is there's unfortunately no bundle. That was a big bummer. When I saw this and there's no bundle, I was like, ugh, really, Capcom? Did it have to be like this? But okay, whatever. No bundle. I just got the two most important outfits for my main character Cammy and my secondary Ryu. So I got those two outfits, and also you can get them for free in the World Tour anyway. So if you really care about the costumes, but you don't want to spend money, you can get them. So that's good. But then, like 6 months, like Capcom waited 6 months to give us one DLC character, one DLC costume for every character. Okay? One. And what's the pricing on it? Bam! Times 6. Like, this is completely insane in my opinion. Like, you go from 50 to 300 on one costume. And all of a sudden, like, and by the way, like, what's the strategy around that? Like, I'm speculating here, but, like, what else could you possibly be thinking here besides, hey, we're gonna have great reviews and nobody's gonna complain about the DLC on release date, and 6 months later we're gonna start releasing the content. We can't release it a lot earlier because then people are gonna maybe update their like, the game is gonna have a lot of momentum and people are talking about it. So if you then add outrageous prices to DLC, it's gonna turn a lot of heads, right? So bam, we got all of the DLC costumes, and for everyone who's been asking, why have you not, Jimmy, why have you not gotten outfit 3 for Ryu yet? Even though, like, everybody's desperate for content, like, this is a business expense for me, by the way. I can purchase this, and this is a business expense, right? You want to break up the monotony as much as possible, especially as a streamer, and yet still, I'm refusing to support Capcom on this. This is crazy DLC prices. Okay, just for comparison, like, let's take a look at what DLC prices used to be like. Okay, what did it used to be like? Okay, let's just check real quick. Okay, so 2014 we have the Challengers Horror Pack. Maybe somebody correct me if I'm wrong on this. This was apparently released at the end of October 2015. Maybe I have this wrong in my head, but I think this was the pricing from day one, and this was the strategy from day one. You could get like a pack that included 5 characters for $4 effectively, or you could get all of the characters for 20. So you could get an entire pack, 44 characters got in one costume for $20. Or if you just want to have your main character, like, check the bundle which has your character and pay $4 and you get it. And you get 5 characters, right? If you get, like, let's do the math on that, okay? If you get 5 characters with $4, you're going to be paying 80 cents per DLC costume, okay? That's the worst case scenario. If you buy the entire thing entirely, you're going to be paying around 45 cents per costume. Around that. Let's say 50 cents, okay? So we went from 50 to 80 cents per DLC costume to $6, okay? So that's like times 12. That's how much we got. Like, no matter how much you, like, how you spin it, like how much effort Capcom put into these costumes, how much inflation there's no way you can justify plus 1,200% markup on that. It's crazy. That's absolutely insane. And like one thing that is actually really bad about this as well, a lot of people are offended by the way you even get the fighter coins. That's another thing. Like, if I want to get, like, let's say I want to get Luke, outfit 3, 300 fighter coins, right? I go to fighter coins and then I realize there is no option to get 300 fighter coins. I have to get a minimum of 500, okay? That's like the minimum that I have to pay. So I have to give Capcom $10 minimum to get one DLC costume. One. You can't even buy 2 DLC costumes. That's the joke. Chat is saying, well, you're forced to buy 2. Well, I wish I could afford to if I bought this twice. If I go the minimum route, I don't even have the money to get a 2. I have to go for the more expensive option. I have to pay $12 for the 600, and then I get... Capcom has... they're giving me 10 fighter coins for free if I go with this option right here. It's outrageous. So, like, this makes no sense. Just let me pay whatever I want to pay, like, right away. Like, what is up with this fighting coin bullshit? Like, it shouldn't be like that. By the way, why is this such a big deal anyways? Like, you could ask yourself, okay, what's the big deal? If you don't want to support this, well, don't buy the costumes. And that's it, right? Well, the problem is, like, you want to, as a streamer, you want to break up the monotony, right? But it's not just that. Like, try to think about, like, all of the tournaments that you're watching. You're seeing the same stages, the same characters with the same costumes over and over and over again. And unless you're completely insane, you know, like, it feels like Capcom is, they know the players are desperate to get anything new, anything that they actually care about outside the Avatar stuff. So they can afford to price it times 12 from what they used to be like. You know, like Street Fighter 5, for example, wasn't as good as Street Fighter 4 in terms of DLC, but it added other stuff. In Street Fighter 4, there was no way to keep playing the game once there was a new patch. You had to rebuy the game. Really keep that in mind. That was up until 2016. We had to rebuy Street Fighter when there was a patch. Think about that for a second, okay? So at least that was fixed with Street Fighter 5. But Street Fighter 5 introduced worse DLC practices. And Street Fighter 6, well, they fixed all of the stuff that a lot of people complained about Street Fighter 5, and then they added the most horrendous DLC practices ever. This is quite interesting. It's not just like the DLC costumes, the pricing on that. Let's just take a look at, like, we had a couple of signs beforehand how this is gonna go. Like, just take a look at the Steam page for Street Fighter 6. Okay, let's take a look at that real quick. Okay, so here you can see this is how much you have to pay for with the different editions, right? But unfortunately, you don't get to see, well, how much, like, what do you actually get if you buy the Deluxe edition or the Ultimate edition? Like, where do I see that? So, okay, so now I scroll down. Okay, let's scroll down. Surely there's some kind of, like, explanation. Okay, no, this is review section. No, it's surely not here. Okay. Okay, so if you pay attention, you're like, oh, wait a minute. There's a read more option here. Okay. I guess I guess it must be here then, right? And then you read all that. By that time, a regular person has given up, by the way, right? And then you have to figure out, okay, Capcom didn't hide it there. They were hiding it under this read more. Like, take a look at this. Like, I can't help but feel like this is on purpose. They have it exactly in the middle. So if you scroll down a lot to find some kind of information, you're not going to find it. If you're like right here, like here, right where it is, you won't find it. You have to know to click on read more exactly here, and then you get an explanation. It's kind of like why? Why would you do it like that? I guess the same person who designed the UI in Street Fighter 6 came up with how to explain everything on the Steam page. Like, it must be like that, right? Because it's the same shitty design. Anyways, like, let's try to figure out, okay, how much do you actually get? If you get the Deluxe Edition, you're going to be paying $25 more, okay? And you're going to get the DLC characters. That seems about fair, you know? One DLC character in Street Fighter 6, it's you get it for, I think, $7. So that's okay. And also the $7, I think that's an okay price. It's not the best price that they could offer, but it's okay. And it actually looks even more outrageous, like the DLC costumes look even more outrageous, knowing that an entire character costs $1 more than the costume. Absolutely insane. Okay, and then you get a bunch of drive tickets. Nobody knew back then what drive tickets even do. They're like, okay, I guess I'll take the 420 drive tickets. Anyways, you're like, okay, if I want the DLC characters, I'll get that. And then here's like the Ultimate Edition. This is the edition that I bought, by the way. And I didn't really care how much this costs, really, because I was like, okay, Capcom is gonna do, like, for the first time, we're getting a good netcode, we're getting like a fleshed out game. I want to support them regardless. I'm just gonna buy the Ultimate Edition, it's gonna be fine. And a lot of people did the same thing, and actually they came to my channel, like I'll show you. They came to my channel, they went to the shop page, went to the costume page, and then they looked at this page right here. They were like, okay, Jimmy, I think I got scammed. I bought the Ultimate Edition, but these costumes are not unlocked. Keep in mind, costume 3 was not available. Only costume 2 was available. And then I told them, well, did you read what the Ultimate Edition actually includes? And that was when people realized, wait a minute, you're paying more than $100 for a game. You're kind of expecting on day one to have everything, right? I don't think that's an unreasonable expectation. And, I mean, Capcom went to great length to hide the menu anyways, right? So how would people even know? And that's outrageous by itself. But like, let's take a look at that. It gets even worse if you read through what you actually get. So you get the characters. By the way, this is including the Deluxe Edition. Up until the colors for Outfit 1, it's the same thing, okay? So what do you actually get new? Well, you get the colors and the outfits for like Outfit 2 and Outfit 3, but like really pay attention. Only for the 4 additional DLC characters do you get that. And you know what's hilarious? Outfit 3 was not released for the DLC characters so far. And I have no idea why. Outfit 3 was released in December of 2023. Aki and Rashid were both out by that time. And for some reason, it's missing. The only thing that was missing in the patch was the content that people paid for on release day. Like, why? Why are you not giving us the content we already paid for? It's already bad enough we didn't get Outfit 3 for every character when we bought the Ultimate Edition. But why not give us the content that we paid for? It makes no sense. Like, this is something that really confused me, I have to say. I was like, I can't come up with a reason why Outfit 3 is not included with the DLC characters. And when is it gonna be included? And by the way, check this out. 2 additional stages. What stages? Where are the stages? Capcom. What, like, we're 7 months into the release. I bought this 8 months ago. I bought this exact edition 8 months ago. Where are the 2 stages? What stages are there? Like, for what character? No information whatsoever. The people who bought the Ultimate Edition actually got scammed by Capcom. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm sure Capcom is gonna release this stuff eventually, but shouldn't this have been communicated somewhat differently? Like, is it just me to think that this should have been communicated differently? Also, like, 7,700 drive tickets. Nowadays, I know this is absolutely useless, and I don't need this, but back then, it sounded like you could do a lot of stuff with it. You know how much you can do with 7,700 drive tickets? Let's check real quick, okay? Let's check real quick, like, what can I actually do with that? So I can buy 7 colors. I can buy 7 colors with that. Or I can buy 1 character's colors plus 1 other color. Like, a bundle of colors and 1 other. That's what you can get. You get nothing for 7,700 drive tickets. It's a complete joke. Like, seriously. And this is something that raised some red flags when the game was released, but I honestly just didn't care enough about it. I was just happy. And I've said this before in Street Fighter 5. I actually said I'm so desperate for a good netcode, I'd be paying Capcom full price just to get the netcode fixed in Street Fighter 5. Okay? And at least they got it right for Street Fighter 6 for the most part, you know. So that's something. So yeah, anyways, basically, even the people who bought the Ultimate Edition, you know, even the people, like, if you bought the Ultimate Edition, you're seeing the same game with the same stages, with the same costumes, with no way to break up the monotony. For 7 months, there has not been any new content unless you're insane enough to give Capcom all of your money. And I think that's really bad, you know? I mean, we should probably talk about, eventually we should talk about the failures of the esports side as well. The way the Capcom Pro Tour was divided up. I think a lot of people are not happy with that. I'm probably going to talk about this in a separate video. But you have those problems on top of that, you know? With every tournament that you show to the world, you're like, for the last 7 months, you've shown the same content, the same costumes, the same characters. It's already bad enough that you have, like, I mean, you can never avoid top tier as being top tier, right? So Ken, JP, Luke, all of these characters have been seen so many times over and over again. But if we at least had different costumes for them, you could at least get a fresh view on the game from time to time, or new stages, you know? Like, new stages like the ones that I bought on release day. How about that? It's ridiculous. Honestly, the state of Street Fighter 6, Capcom thought, I think this is what went wrong, really. Capcom thought they could sell the game based on a good release, and they didn't have to do anything after that for the next 7 months. Like, that is clearly what they thought was going to happen. But, well, unfortunately, that's just not good enough. If you want to have a successful game, if you want to have an esports scene and everything, if you want to have everything be alive and people caring about it, you kind of have to show that you're interested in it as well. They went full avatar costume mode for casuals. And honestly, I don't even mind that too much. Like, I'm not interested in the avatar stuff whatsoever, and whatever Capcom does, I'm not going to get sucked into it. But I know, and by the way, this is the reason why you're not seeing your outfit for Chun-Li, for example. They know you're tempted to get the costume. So even if you're a competitive player, you're tempted potentially by a specific collaboration like Spy Family to get the costume and well, do this, but maybe changing the character model and the beard maybe. Anyways, you know what I mean, right? You're tempted into it, and the moment you start paying money, the more likely it is you're gonna keep spending money. That's the idea. Get sucked into the avatar world, which, once again, I have no issues with. Even the pricing I have no issues with. It's outrageously priced, but whatever, you know? If I feel like it's not worth it, then whatever, that's okay. The problem is, if you're just focused on that and you're not really releasing any other content for the rest of your player base, well, then that's bad. You know, if the bottom line is to sell me this costume, if that's the bottom line for your game, then that's kind of sad. So all the crossover events are only for avatars, not the main fighters? Savage Goki, I feel like I just made you really sad. You should rename yourself to Sad Goki. Okay? Because yes, this is none of the awesome content that Capcom has released so far has been for any of the characters. It's all been for avatar stuff. By the way, like, to briefly get back to the point that some people are making, that like in this Twitter post as well, people were saying, well, the big portion of the money can be made through the competitive players and not the casual players. This is completely wrong, I think. This is what I was talking about earlier. The main players, the most amount of players, like, they don't care about training mode or ranked mode. They just pick up a fighting game and see what the experience, like what the single player content has to offer. Like, especially with Mortal Kombat, for example, it's very obvious there. And then they kind of leave. So what Capcom did right here was, well, instead of having that happen, how about we hit them with an interesting minigame inside a Street Fighter that they can use their money on. So if you have most of your player base with that mindset, then you're gonna try your best to monetize that. So it absolutely makes sense what Capcom is doing here, but it's just sad that this had to happen with the competitive players suffering as a result. This could have been avoided just by giving us DLC by giving us costumes that are fairly priced, more content. But I understand why they're not doing it. They're not doing it so you feel desperate enough to check out the avatar stuff. So this is why I'm offended by it. This is where I'm like, okay, why is my game being made shitty just so I check out the game mode that I'm not interested in? You know? That's the sad part. And I really hope Capcom, to be clear, we're gonna see, just like with Street Fighter 5 and just like with Street Fighter 4, we're gonna see awesome deals later on in the life cycle of Street Fighter 6. Okay? There's gonna be something like the Champion Edition that includes all of the costumes for a reasonable price. All of that is gonna happen. But why are you butchering the start of your awesome new game like that? Like, is that really necessary? Does that make any sense to do? And that's the sad part, you know? I'll leave it at that. I've been ranting on for long enough. There's so much stuff, so many angles to cover in this. But yeah, definitely. Let me know what you think in the comments below, on YouTube as well. If you're watching this as a video, let me know. Like, is this okay? Is this not okay? What are you expecting from Capcom to do? Like, what should they be doing, especially going forward? Let me know in the comments. Fix the input reader. And that's a completely separate topic, you know?